Hello, hello, hello. Welcome along to IrelandAM, Virgin Media 1.
Lovely to have you with us. It's Wednesday, the 8th of January, and here's some of what we've got coming up for you on today's show.
It's bloody freezing out there, in case you didn't know. First up this morning, we're going to be checking in on various people who've been affected by the weather around the country. We're talking the farmers, we're talking the elderly, we're talking the homeless. If you have been adversely affected by the cold temperatures, get in touch. 0896 111 111 was -5 in the car this morning when I got in. So, yeah, it's pretty damn cold out there.
Loads of my mates are snowed in, can't get out of their houses. Certainly knowing a lot of my teacher friends, they can't get to school. So there's so much going on around the country. We do want to hear what it's like for you. Also, we're going to be talking about something that's very topical. Financial advisor Owen McGee. He's going to be here at 7:45. In January, things are incredibly tight. You get paid that bit earlier in December, and then you've got to go like 5 weeks until you get paid again for so many people. So how do we get more money in our pockets? From claiming rent credit to, are you eligible for a uniform credit? Or, you know, should you be getting a working from home allowance? If you've got a question for Owen, you can send us a WhatsApp. Again, it's 0896 111 111.
So many of those credits that were available last year, so many people didn't use them, didn't get them. So hopefully we'll make that easy for you. At 8:15, we're going to be talking to two participants in the Clinic for Well People. It's a new series on Virgin Media, all about the importance of keeping an eye on your health.
So it's you're healthy, but you go to the doctor anyway.
There's one man
Do we know someone like that?
I wonder who would go to the doctor, and there's nothing wrong.
And as soon as he hears about something here today, he'll be like, gee, I need to go to the doctor. I've got that. I've got that. And we could be talking about a spotted dick in the kitchen.
Are you
anyway,
trying to get into
Alan Hughes.
Oh, yes.
Good morning.
That's me. Yeah, now we've got a winter warmer soup in the kitchen a little later on. We've cold snap clothes on the catwalk, which is absolutely needed this week. Plus our resident trichologist, Claire Fullerman. She's going to be talking about detangling your hair in this weather. Just the thing you need to know today. Detangling your hair in the snow. I tell you, we have everything here for you. Now, God love him. God love him. Deric is out and about this morning. Where are you, Deric, and what are you going to be doing?
Al, is it cold? I haven't noticed. Anyway, lads, it's the 8th of January and the mercury tipped past -8 last night. One of the coldest nights we've had in a long, long time, and we're certainly not out of the woods by a long stretch just yet. In fact, that status orange low temp and ice warning has been extended till 12 p.m. on Thursday, with the exception of Donegal, and then a status yellow for the entire country until 11 a.m. on Friday. Still bitterly cold out there today with sub-zero values, black ice and a freezing fog to contend with. So it is a case of wrap up and get the layers on out there this Wednesday. Now, we're up here in North County Meath this morning, up by Kilmaine and Woods, in fact, just south of Kingscourt in County Cavan. Christmas trees, of course, they're down at the moment, but what happens when you throw them out the door? They land here at this facility, so we're going to be taking you on that tour, finding out what happens to your Christmas tree once you take it down. And lads, I learnt my lesson from yesterday, because today I have 1 layer, I have 2 layers, I have 3 layers, I have 4 layers, and I have that vest on 5 layers. On this morning.
Still nice showing off the chest anyway, though. Good on you, Deric. Get those layers on.
Stop it, Tommy, will you?
Get the cup of tea ready, and we'll catch up later on. Good on you.
If you didn't see Deric's vest yesterday, it is so worth it going back onto Virgin Media Play and checking it out.
Warmed up your morning.
So coming up on IrelandAM, we're going to be checking in on various groups around the country as the cold weather persists.
Get in touch with us. How has it affected you? 0896 111 111. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Welcome back. As the cold weather continues, we're checking to see how it's impacting farmers, older people and, of course, homeless people.
Joining us to discuss is Alice Doyle, Vice President of the Irish Farmers Association, Nat O'Connor from Age Action Ireland. We're hoping to get on the line Katrina Toomey as well from Cork Penny Dinners, who are obviously trying to feed the homeless people down in Cork at the minute as well. Alice, we see it all over the papers the last couple of days. The weather's getting worse over the last night. I think it's going to get worse again tonight. What is the challenge for so many farmers, particularly in southern regions in the country?
Huge challenge for the last week, really, since last Saturday when the rains and snow started falling. Farmers have had, huge challenges. First, I suppose we can look at on farm. You have the safety of the farmer first, himself or herself, that they must be careful themselves, clear a yard that they can get around safely to get to, whether it's a milking parlour or to a feeding shed or whatever. Secondly, the big worry farmers have is for animals, because animals need water, and that's a vital, just like humans, they need food and water, but water water more importantly. Cows, for example, drink a huge amount of water, as do cattle. So they have to make sure the water gets them. But this type of weather, particularly the freezing weather, even more so than the snow, it's the frost in the last few days is the biggest problem. It freezes pipes. And once pipes are frozen, water doesn't flow into the troughs inside in the sheds. And animals are nearly all housed at this time of the year. So they're depending on water coming through to them. So if pipes are frozen, the water doesn't flow. So, and in a very short period of time, cattle will run out of water. So water must be brought to the animals. And farmers are working very hard at doing that. They have water tanks, they've started filling up water tanks when they get a bit of a thaw. You fill the water tanks, you bring the water to the cattle. They have big tanks that they can take in, move mobily around by putting them on loaders or whatever, and they move them around and get water to the cattle. That's really, really important. The second thing is, I suppose that farmers are being careful now too what they're feeding their animals. They're making sure that it's silage they're feeding them rather than say hay or dry compounds, because anything that's water based at least gives them some liquid. So that's being done. But and also getting to animals on out farms. We winter out animals too. Of course. Sheep are wintered out. A lot of cattle are wintered out.
All over the mountains. You can see them like amongst the snow in Kerry in some of the pictures.
Absolutely. And so a lot of those areas have animals wintered out. And to get to those animals, to make sure that you get to them and that you get water to them as well, that has been a challenge. But farmers are managing quite well, and they're very good to each other. And the old metal, comes into effect very quickly. And they do help. And we would say very much to farmers around the country, if you're in any difficulty yourself that you can't manage, don't hesitate, to ring another neighbour or even call our own offices. We have offices all over the country, and we'll arrange with the local chairman to arrange something to get help to you. Don't struggle.
And it is, we're thinking animal welfare, of course, the farmers themselves, and we know the farmers have been amazing in the community in this weather, and absolutely fair play to them. But is this going to have, a financial impact? Is there an impact for what's going to be happening around the country with, food supplies, milk supplies, all that kind of stuff?
A couple of things. First, there's always a financial impact if your business is interrupted. And their business is interrupted. Like, there's no two ways about that. Milk is being collected with under pressure. Milk has to go. It has to be taken out every few days. And farmers are helping, with tractors and that to pull milk lorries into farmyards to get the milk taken out. So that's working reasonably okay. But I'll give you an example. On our own farm, we sell cattle to the local factory. We were able to, because we live in Wexford, we were able to get our cattle to the factory last Monday morning. But the factory were running short of cattle because the neighbouring counties, Carlow and Kilkenny in particular, snowed in Tipperary. They would be suppliers to the same factory, couldn't get cattle in. That's delaying payment, selling your animal, delaying payment. And then you have the whole horticulture area. Like, they have to take out their vegetables, they take out carrots at this time of the year, cabbage has been taken out, and it's taken out on a daily basis because it's a fresh product. And if it can't be taken out, you lose some of it, and you're losing your finance as the result of that too. So the food chain is being interfered with, and therefore you're going to lose. There will be a cost, and then there's the physical cost of the amount of effort you have to put in, extra time and extra hours, and maybe even get extra help.
Totally. And it's the same all over the country in a lot of different industries as well. Nat, in terms of the elderly, I saw it in the paper today, there's a warning to a lot of old elderly people saying to not leave the house. There's a lot of fear out there. How difficult is it?
Well, there's 500,000 people in Ireland aged 70 and older, so of course it's a different story for lots of different people, and a lot of people are living independently at home. But the key message would be to people to stay warm, stay safe and stay connected, because it's really important that people stay warm at this time. You have to keep the heating on, and a lot of people would be worried about the cost of heating. So it's really important that people do put on the heating for the week that's in it. It's going to be extremely cold temperatures, extremely cold at night, -8, -10. So people really have to put the heating on, and there is help available.
And that keeps the pipes moving, it keeps the water running as well, so it hopefully doesn't mean that they'll freeze.
Absolutely, because there is a risk that if you keep the heating off, your pipes could freeze. So this is the time to keep the heating on, make sure the home is warm. And if you're worried about the cost, there is help available. The Department of Social Protection have various schemes and fuel allowance for older people where you can get help with the cost of bills, because now isn't not the time to worry about that. It's much more important for people's health and well-being just to stay warm.
Yeah, and is there another fuel subsidy that's coming this year?
Hopefully,
I think later on. But Nat, what kind of calls are you receiving from people? Because I heard one story yesterday where I think it was a farmer actually had made his way to his neighbour, but he hadn't been able to get down to her since Friday. And I think she had, a heel of bread, a couple of slices of cheese and no milk left in the house.
Well, this is the risk, particularly in rural areas where someone is isolated, because people are making the decision it's just not worth going out because the risk of a trip or a fall or the build-up of snow and people can't get through it. So there is that situation where most people would have a stock of food in the house, and they'd know their neighbours. But there are cases where people don't know their neighbours. And this is the thing about staying connected, that if you do know older people in your area, now is the time to drop by and just say hello. Or if you don't want to disturb someone, you don't want to disturb their privacy, you could put a card in their door with your name and your phone number on it, just so they know that there's someone there that they could call. So now is the time to make those connections.
Alice, in terms of people who are living on their own and certain rural areas as well, from a farmer's point of view, they have the facilities to probably open up roads and to try to help out. How important is it for maybe local authorities to help them, to come to them, to ask them to help out in these times?
That's so important, and farmers are more than willing. That they've shown that over the years, and this time again they're out. You've seen it over the last couple of days. They're out helping the neighbours. They're more than willing to go. But
Why
I
would
agree
they
with
not
you.
do it?
Exactly. The only worry I suppose they always have is insurance, because if you do, you're driving a big machine, and if you touch a wall and you knock a brick out of it, or you tip another vehicle or whatever in the process of clearing a path, where does your insurance come in? So they worry about that, but a lot of them still do it. They go out roadways.
There was a promise after the Beast from the East years ago. We've only had 3 major weather events, I think, in 14 years that have been like this. And there was a promise that from the government that they were going to get more connected, that we'll be able to do this, and that maybe local authorities would indemnify farmers so as that they could go out and help, because they're the ones with the machinery that can clear these roads.
And that should happen.
Has it happened? That
no,
hasn't
it hasn't
happened.
happened, and it should happen. And there's no point in looking back again and saying we'll review this and we'll do it for the next time. We don't know. The next time could be in 6 months, could be in 10 months' time. We could get it in November again, like we did before. So it should be done now. And I think now is the time to do it, because we are likely to have these events. We've had them always, and we should have learned by now that it would be important to coordinate this. And I would absolutely agree that we did it during COVID, where farmers got out and they were brought around, and they brought health service workers around. They brought supplies to people.
It needs to happen now.
But it's now. I agree. It needs to happen. And whereas we still do it, we do it with goodwill, and we're quite happy to do it most of the time. But that risk is always there. And I think it would be done more freely if we knew that there was that indemnification there.
We know that we were also hoping to talk to Katrina Toomey from Cork Penny Dinners about what's going on in the homeless situation in Cork, but unfortunately we couldn't connect with her. I know that more beds had been made available by Limerick County Council last night, and that was happening in various areas around Munster because of the cold snap, so fair play to all of them. Alice Doyle, Vice President of the Irish Farmers Association, and Nat O'Connor from Age Action Ireland. People can get in contact with Age Action should they want to. You can go to, there's their number on screen. You can go to virginmedia.ie/helplines should you need it. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks
Cheers.
so much for that. Lots more coming up after the break. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Now it's time to take a look at this morning's papers. We're starting with the Irish Times. The headline there, Met Éireann warns that temperatures could fall as low as -10 degrees. As bitterly cold conditions there are expected to continue nationwide for the rest of the week. Weather warnings for low temperature and ice remain in place until tomorrow at least.
Details of takeaway orders key in Karen murder probe. That's the front page of the Irish Independent. It goes on to say that investigators were able to establish regular patterns of food orders and deliveries made in Drogheda and Dundalk in the summer of 2022, noting that after a certain date there was one less meal being ordered.
The Examiner leads with number of defective cars hits record high. It reported that over 128,000 vehicles have been classified as fail dangerous when submitted for an NCT last year.
The high point of wokeism is the top story on the Daily Mail. Former Justice Minister Michael McDowell has relayed his concerns at introducing a broader definition of gender in newly enacted hate crime legislation, as new figures show rise in attacks.
The Mirror's front page, Simon's orange alert. Taoiseach Simon Harris has said that people need to take precautions and warned of treacherous conditions as temperatures plummet to -10 degrees.
The Sun leads with Hubby Roo Year. It reveals that Wayne Rooney has bagged a new role for 2025 as house husband after leaving his manager's job at Plymouth.
The Star's front page, broken. The family of a mother of two, Paula Canty, says that they are broken following her death last week as a man known to her was arrested last night.
And finally, the Herald goes with McGregor's trophy strife. Drogheda United has distanced itself from Conor McGregor after the controversial fighter posed with the FAI Cup to promote his pub and alcohol brand.
Now, Simon Harris and Micheál Martin say that they're happy to work with Michael Lowry, and if you thought Oasis prices were bad, how about $2.5 grand to watch fellas like this fella run around a pitch at the Six
Bargain.
Nations. $2.5 grand.
That's for the Ireland.
Lads, just take my job for 5 minutes. You can have them to yourself. Be
Ireland
grand.
and England tickets are going for that at the minute, or else you could just watch it here in Virgin Media.
For free, yes.
Now, joining us with the stories this morning is News Talk's Andrea Gilligan, political correspondent with the Irish Times, Jack Corgan-Jones. Good morning.
Morning, guys.
Good morning, guys.
You both. Let's move to one of the stories in one of the fronts of the papers about Harris and Martin standby Lowry. This is around the Moriarty Tribunal. Can you give us an update? What happened there, or a reminder?
So really this story stretches back to the mid-90s in many ways, or the findings of the Moriarty Tribunal in 2011, which related to the awarding of the state's second mobile phone licence to Denis O'Brien. That tribunal found that Michael Lowry, who was the Minister for Communications at the time, secured the winning of that contract for Denis O'Brien. Now, it's something that both Denis O'Brien and Michael Lowry have rejected, but after the findings of the tribunal were delivered in 2011, there was widespread political censure of Michael Lowry, both from Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. There was an all-party motion of censure passed by the Dáil calling on him to resign as a TD, and he was very much in kind of political Siberia for a period after that. Now, since then, he's proved to be a remarkably successful electoral politician, being returned 2016, 2020 and 2024.
Exactly. The people of Tipperary
North.
did not care about the findings of the Moriarty Tribunal. They wanted him back in
Very
the
much
Dáil.
so, yeah. He's the kind of preeminent political figure in that part of Tipperary North, as it now is in the constituency. But I suppose it has, given that hinterland, it has prompted questions in recent days for both Micheál Martin and Simon Harris. Micheál Martin, who personally was part of that kind of that moment of censure for Michael Lowry, and Simon Harris, whose party was party to it. So they're being asked, given this history, why is it the case that you are now effectively negotiating with Michael Lowry, who is the lead negotiator on behalf of the regional group of independents who are most likely to support Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael government next time out? Why are you now negotiating with this guy? And they've said yesterday, they both effectively said, look, the past being what it is, he nonetheless has a mandate both from his constituents and also, in effect, from the other TDs in that regional group. So we're happy to do business with him. The question is whether that's kind of wider political acceptable.
During the election, Bertie Ahern was on the radio a lot talking about his time in office and how basically Jackie Healy-Rae was the person who was propping them up as an independent TD, and how he always threatened them, had them over a barrel all the time, but normally he stood by the government. This isn't new, essentially, these sort of deals, but it doesn't. Maybe people don't find it that tasteful.
Well, I suppose the interesting point in this, when Simon Harris and Micheál Martin have been talking about it, even in recent days when they've been asked about it, the point around the ability to support the government, and I suppose leaving the Moriarty Tribunal of the findings of 2011 and previous issues to one side, the point that Simon Harris has made when he was asked about this was that, people will vote. We have a democracy. People vote for candidates, individuals, and then those individuals, while in Dáil Éireann, will support or not the government. And I suppose the point being that Michael Lowry has supported previous governments since 2016, the last 3 times that he's been returned or re-elected to Dáil Éireann. So I think the point being that they want to try and get a government established by January 22nd seems to be the date in mind. Michael Lowry is the person, the independent TD, who is the I suppose, chair, if you want to call it that, leading the pack of the independents. And in an effort to try and get a government formed, they seem to be willing to, or they're very happy to work with him, is the point. The practicalities of how the Dáil works is the phrase used.
What do you make of this? Do you think that this is an awful lot of power for one person to have over the government? 0896 111 111, or are you just this is how politics works?
Simon Harris has spoken about this exactly. He knows the practicalities of how the Dáil works. I do have to mention this one, that Simon Harris has talked about Donald Trump, going back to an interview in 2020 where he called Mr. Trump an awful go.
Yeah. It's a great phrase.
And he's now had to go back and say, let me explain to the people that this is a light-hearted Irish phrase.
I didn't know Simon was from Limerick. I'm so proud of him using that word.
Yeah, I know somebody from Wicklow using that term. this is just a bit backtracking, but this could be an issue potentially going forward. Hardly, so Jack.
Well, I suspect it's one that he doesn't want to have to explain if he ever sits down opposite Trump in the Oval Office. He won't have to this March because Micheál Martin's going to be Taoiseach, but in a couple of years he may have to. Imagine Trump asks him, what exactly is a gal?
Yeah, well, I'd love to see the definition of a gal.
To be fair, Kate Moss calls herself, and they're a group of wagons, because Ali Houston once told him that it means cool girls and you're great, and everyone in Ireland's like, that's not what wagon means, lads. So he could just say it means you're great. Yeah. You're absolutely fantastic. He'll get away with it. It's fine. Anyway, I'm sure.
A person from Limerick, were you happy to hear Simon Harris using the term an awful go?
Spread it wide.
The rugby
We're
lads
very
used to
proud
hate
of that.
other people using that term.
That it's just a Limerick thing. Limerick and Cork.
Cork as well.
Yeah.
There you have it. Donald Trump, according to Simon Harris, an awful goal.
Should we be keeping that word just in Munster?
To Meta. So Meta look like they're going to end the third-party fact-checking programme, Andrea.
Yeah, so this seems to be, in terms of how we fact-check the information that is on any of the Meta social media platforms that we're using. Meta have announced that they're going to shut that down, that third-party.
Is this a step backwards? In terms of social media, letting them self-regulate, is that really where we want to go?
I think all of us here probably on this couch have had experiences from time to time over where maybe comments or things have been said or fake accounts set up, I'm sure, about so many of your viewers as well. And that effort that you have to endure to try and get those accounts removed is nothing short of absolutely ludicrous. You know, how difficult it is to try and get fake commentary and irresponsible comments and posts removed.
Now, this is something that's happening in the States. So we know that we've got different rules in Europe, and we'll find out what's going to happen with the ombudsman and all of this. But as I was watching something on BBC last night, it was like the transformation of Mark Zuckerberg, who used to be seen as quite liberal in Silicon Valley, into full MAGA. He's brought Dana White on board, who was very close to Donald Trump, to kind of signify, hi, we're a friend to your government, because Facebook was the one that Donald Trump had in his crosshairs because they weren't falling into line. He has said that Facebook is going to be a much more intolerant place as a result of this. He's acknowledged that, but that's just the way it's going to go.
Yeah, and I think that it's less the kind of technical move away from fact checking and towards community notes, and more what it signifies. And it signifies exactly what you're talking about. When you put it next to the elevation of Dana White, a very close friend and ally of Donald Trump,
UFC,
to the board of Meta, and people like Nick Clegg, very much a kind of mainstream establishment political figure who was the Deputy Prime Minister of the UK, went to work for Meta / Facebook, and now has stepped away from the company. When you put it all in the pot together, it looks like a kind of embracing of that kind of free speech absolutism that Elon Musk claims to subscribe to, and a move away from, I suppose, any attempt to kind of moderate the nastier, more base impulses of parts of the kind of Facebook or social media user base, which can result in some pretty nasty things being done and said. And
you're allowed to call a woman an object that you own in your kitchen in America now. Isn't that lovely? So sweet.
Well,
you are. Like, that's one of the things they allowed yesterday.
There you have it. Let us know what you think about that. 0896 111 111. We don't have time to get to the Ireland-England Six Nations tickets going for €2,500 on resale websites. Who thought Oasis tickets were bad?
Yeah. Taylor Swift.
Watching Ireland beating England would be sweet, though. But you could just get your tickets for next Christmas panto. Alan Hughes, Jack Horgan-Jones from the Irish Times, Andrea Gilligan from Lunchtime Live and News Talk. Great to have you with us.
Thank you so much.
Alan, way better than Ireland-England, wouldn't it be?
I'm telling you, much more entertaining. Now, coming up, financial expert Owen McGee is going to be joining us. He's going to be advising us on how to stay fiscally fit after this short break.
Welcome back. Now, the new year will spark many people wanting to make a change in their life. That includes better financial habits and also going, I got paid when in December and when am I getting paid in January? And this isn't nice.
That money you have in the bank.
That's
Joining
me.
us now with his advice for achieving your financial goals in 2025 is financial advisor Owen McGee. Good morning to you, Owen.
Good morning, guys.
And it is this time of year that we all sort of sit back and we go, OK, can we do better than last year financially? So what are people asking you? What do they come to you now at this time of year? And what advice do you normally give them?
This is the only time of the year that I feel like a PT or someone who, people are really looking for them and looking for the advice and what's the big things I need to do. What I'd ask people to do is just do the small things. get yourself some quick wins at the start of the year so that it gives you momentum to keep going. And
what are the quick wins?
The quick wins are, like, I'll tell you one of the quickest wins. Like, the best thing you could do for yourself right now, today, is pull out your gas and electricity bill, get online, and try and save yourself money. On average, you're going to save somewhere, if you haven't changed... By switching, yeah. On average, you're going to switch if you haven't done it in a while, you're going to save somewhere between 300 if you do one and 500 a year if you do both, okay? And it's really easy to do. CRU.ie, which is the regulator, right? They have a list of the companies that are authorised as a switcher company, right? So these are companies, they're brokers as such, that they look at all the companies that are there and just go on to CRU, pick whichever one you want. I think there's 2 or 3 of them at the moment. And their job is to make it really easy to switch. But that's a quick win. That's a perfect example of a quick one. Yeah. 300 quid, 500 quid, that's a really easy one. The other one that we need to...
Can I just ask, when it comes to it, because it's something that I hear people talking about now, it's sort of thing, oh, I switched there recently. You can keep switching.
You can, of course,
can't you? Like, that's the thing, it's not just like...
You sign up for a year, isn't it? Normally a year. And then you
can you break contracts?
Yeah, you can. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to break a contract. Sometimes, like, what I would say is so do you really want the hassle of doing it every 3 months? What I would say is go into a contract, be happy with it, and 12 months later go again, or whatever the term of your contract is. Now, the other one that you need to be aware of is at this time of year, people sometimes would be aware if you're self-employed, October, November is kind of tax return time. Now is tax return time for everyone if they want it to be, including PAYE workers. There's a whole pile of people out there who just get a pay slip each month, their taxes are paid, and they never do a tax return. Do it now, right?
But if you're PAYE and it's done, what do you mean do a tax return?
Because your taxes are probably bang up to date and you've probably paid more tax than you need to as a PAYE worker.
All right.
So you need to go back and claim your medical expenses. Typically, medical expenses are 20% of whatever you paid.
How do you do this?
How do you do it? Well, the first thing to do is get yourself registered on the revenue website, right? And that's an easy process to do. It does take a couple of steps, but it's an easy process. So get my PAYE set up on revenue. So just go onto the revenue.ie, have a look at it, register there. Then start collecting your receipts while this process is going, right? So what receipts do you need? You need your medical expenses. Working from home is an interesting one, all right?
Can I just stop you there? Because we got an email in this morning from a lady and she was sort of saying... Carol. And she was literally going that...
I'm a working mum with 2 children renting in Dublin every year after Christmas. It's the same. I'm glad my family enjoyed it, but now I don't have 2 pennies to rub together. In the last budget, there was a lot of talk about money we would be able to claim back on rent, dental, working from home. It sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
What am I entitled to?
First thing, that Carol was her name, was it?
Carol, yeah.
Carol, what I would say to Carol is I was a lot in there. It's we. We're a family, whether she has a partner or not. She said, I haven't got 2 pennies to rub together. It's we. She needs some help here in terms of... Now, if she doesn't have a partner and she's raising kids by herself, get the kids involved here, right? And I mean, be appropriate to their age, right? But get the kids involved here. Here's the electricity bill. You go and see if you can get me, if you've got a 16-year-old, you go see if you can get it cheaper. But bring it together so that everybody has responsibility for it. Because I guarantee you, my mother used to always say, go and turn off 3 lights. And if the 16-year-old is looking after the electricity bill, they'll start turning off 3 lights, right?
I love that. You go and turn off 3 lights in the house.
We know where you got it from.
But the rent, one thing to say, on the rent, right?
Yes.
It's €1,000 for an individual now, rent credit, €2,000 for a couple. So that's really, really valuable, right?
If you're renting a house.
If you're renting a
property,
right?
yeah.
The other one that you need to consider, medical expenses, as we said, is 20%. Working from home is an interesting one. You can get 30% of heating, electricity and broadband as an expense. You can put it through as an expense when you're working from home. Or the really nice one, because it's really simple, you don't have to do a return. If your boss is willing to give you €3.20 a day for every day you're working from home, they just give you that, there's no tax on it. So that's €3.20 for every day that you work from home. You don't put through the gas and electricity and broadband then, but you just get €3.20 per day.
So say
What's
now...
that over the year?
It's a day, so multiply it by 5 and then off you go. €15 a week.
Thanks, Alan.
€15 a week, €67 a month and off you go. So 600, 700, 800 quid.
750 a year.
Can I ask you, how do I do that? I've got, I'm Carol, I've got 2 children, they've gone to the GP twice, I've gone to the GP 3 times. How do I put my medical expenses into Ross?
So what you do is
revenue.ie.
First of all, register with Revenue, right?
Yeah.
Then once you have your account set up, you calculate up your expenses and they actually make it quite easy. Like if you've never done it before, it's really easy process. The other thing I'll say is picking up the phone to Revenue people go, oh, I'm not talking to revenue, right? But actually, they're really helpful when it comes to the stuff like this. And there's loads of companies that will do it for you if you really don't want to do it, right? So there are companies that
Like
you can
who?
go to.
I
can name one, but I can't remember all the rest of them. So it's unfair to name one.
Okay, that's fair enough. But when you're saying register with revenue.
Yes.
Is that picking up the phone or going online?
No, going online. Revenue.ie.
Revenue.ie, and you register, you put your name, your address, and you register with them. See, I know people will be going, oh, now they know what I am. And
they know who you are anyway, they're revenue.
Have you ever, Ireland, yeah,
the whole point of this is the vast majority of PAYE workers are paying the correct tax, right? So the thing that by giving them the expenses, you're going to get a refund of the tax you've already paid.
Yeah.
Okay? So it is a massive difference in terms of, it's not like a self-employed person might say, oh God, I just keep my head down here and I'll just keep going. I'll pay what taxes I believe are right, but I don't want to draw any attention to myself, right? It's not the right attitude either.
Is it the
but
case,
a PAYE worker, the tax has already been taken off.
So the case is that PAYE workers are entitled to all this, and just because the tax is taken at source, they just feel, well, I'm done, that's all I can claim.
Yeah. Absolutely. And sometimes there's some anomalies that happen as well. It's much better now with IT and software and everything else. But let's say you were in a job and then you stopped for a couple of months and you started another job last year, right? Yeah. You may not have used up all your tax credits last year. So it mightn't even be about expenses. It might be just that your tax credits weren't used properly. So there's a whole pile of stuff. There are companies out there, and again, we won't mention anyone by name, but typically they will describe that when they do a tax return for somebody, they'll get somewhere between 800 and 1,200 euros back.
Guys, if you're there right now, revenue.ie at some stage today, you can put in your heating, your electricity and your broadband if you're working from home and get something back, your medical expenses. That's amazing. Owen McGee, thank you so much for that.
We might put a bigger call out on this and get loads of questions in and maybe ask you back in to actually go down to the detail of it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
and don't
much.
forget your rent credit. Loads of people didn't get that last year. We'll be back on IrelandAM in just a few minutes.
Good morning, you're very welcome back. A busy old first hour. Looking forward to lots more on the show.
Yes, at 8:15 we're going to be speaking to a doctor. Yes, we have got a GP in the house. We've also got a patient from the new series of The Clinic for Well People. They'll be sharing their experience with us very shortly. We'll be telling you what it's all about.
At 9:20, she has refereed at the World Cup, the Olympic Games. We're going to be chatting to the newly retired referee, Michelle O'Neill, about her stellar career.
Retired early, isn't that great?
Amazing.
Chilling now. Alan is getting the lowdown on how to look after some luscious locks.
Oh, yes. Look at these. She has the luscious locks. Claire Fulham is here. But tell me at home, how many times a week would you clean your hairbrush? Or how many times a month would you clean your hairbrush? How many times are we supposed to be doing it, Claire?
We're supposed to be doing it once a week.
And not only just taking the hairs out, giving it a dunk in the water.
Submerging it, giving it a little bit of a wash while you have your shower. That's the
I'd
best
say
thing.
there's very few people watching in this morning who would wash their hairbrush once a week.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. After this morning, we shall be fine. So you're going to be telling us lots more about these little tips on that.
Absolutely.
And detangling your beautiful locks.
Yes.
Okay, that's coming up a little later on. Now, Deric is turning festive cheer into fertiliser this morning because he's recycling Christmas trees. How are you getting on, Deric?
We are, Al. That's what we're doing. We've landed here at the compost facility in Ballynalurgan in North County Meath. David Duff is with us. David, what have we got here?
This is shredded Christmas trees that we have collected yesterday from 6 collection depots in Dublin City Council. We've shredded them off site and we've taken them now to this composting facility where we're going to compost them and turn them into a fertiliser.
Talk us quickly through the process.
So the process is basically we're going to tip the material inside the shed here. We're going to mix it. It's like baking a cake. We basically mix it with other ingredients to create the feedstock for the composting piles.
Okay, and the smell out of this now is pretty strong, right?
This is a smell of food waste. So typically this plant accepts 40,000 tonnes of food waste every year. So the smell that you're getting now is the organic smell.
Okay, guys, it's very strong, isn't it?
It's quite smelly.
Absolutely. All right, we'll have more of that 8:45. But for now, will you close that door there, Donal?
Oh,
back to studio. Woo, it's very strong.
Smell.
You know when you
smell like Alan Hughes' dressing room in here in the morning.
No, your dressing room, Tommy, more to be precise.
Alan dunks an entire thing of aftershave on him before he comes in every day. So no, it's all good.
Dumps what?
Anyway, we're looking forward to finding out more about that very interesting process. But hello, it's time to take a look at this morning's paper, starting with the Irish Times. The headline there, Met Éireann warns that temperatures could fall as low as minus 10 degrees. As bitterly cold conditions are expected to continue nationwide for the rest of the week, weather warnings for low temperature and ice remain in place until tomorrow at least.
Details of takeaway orders key to current murder probe. That's the front page of the Irish Independent. It goes on to say that investigators were able to establish regular patterns of food orders and deliveries made in Drogheda and Dundalk in the summer of 2022, noting that after a certain date there was one less meal being ordered.
The Examiner's front page, number of defective cars hits record high. It reported that over 128,000 vehicles have been classified as fail dangerous when submitted for an NCT last year.
Rising scourge of faulty cars is the top story in the Daily Mail. Motorists should not be able to drive away from NCT centres if their vehicles are deemed dangerous. Campaigns have urged with more than 128,000 vehicles classified as fail dangerous after an NCT last year.
The Mirror's front page, Simon's orange alert. Taoiseach Simon Harris has said that people need to take precautions and warned of treacherous conditions as temperatures plummet to minus 10 degrees. The reference there with Donald Trump is due to an Irish slur he called him in a radio interview 5 years ago now.
The Sun leads with, "We've solved the housing crisis." 3 teens made the most of the big freeze by building a massive igloo in County Cork while off school. Well done to them. The students spent 6 hours building their brand new ice house.
It looks incredible, by the way, lads. If you haven't seen it online, it is so good as they walk. It is such a good structure. Fair play to all of them. So lovely having the ice stories there. And 0896 111 111 if you want to get in contact on anything to do with the weather today. Now moving on to
send in your pictures of your snowmen.
Absolutely.
Or snow women.
We're moving on to a different story now with The Star, and it leads with broken. The family of mother of 2, Paula Canty, they are broken following her death last week as a man known to her was arrested last night.
And finally, the Herald goes with McGregor's trophy strife. Drogheda United has distanced itself from Conor McGregor after the controversial fighter posed with the FAI Cup to promote his pub and alcohol brand. Now, we were talking earlier on, and we didn't really get to discuss it in Making the News, about the prices of tickets for Ireland-England, because we obviously, the whole talk of away.
So this is the Six Nations starting again.
Six Nations, the very, I think it's the first weekend in February, the 1st or 2nd of February. So there's ticket prices online on certain websites selling tickets from €700 for tickets in the top tiers up to €2,500 for one ticket in the lower levels.
So I'm assuming the Ireland-England game is just totally sold out. Totally gone.
Well, totally sold out, but on these resale sites. So the IRFU are going to liaise with the Gardaí over these being sold on kind of bogus websites or on websites that are completely hiking the prices up. But it just goes on to show
how much are they, the ones that they're finding on resale sites right now?
Well, there could be up to €2,500.
And if you bought a legit ticket,
about €100 to €150. Now, this is pretty extortionate prices that if you want to go and take your kid to go and watch a match against England, you're probably costing a couple of €100.
So, but nobody's going to be paying that, are they?
Well, you see, this is the thing. The demand is 50,000 people. Like, you've a lot of corporates coming over from England.
But that's what I mean. It'll be corporate people or something like that.
And this is the problem with the rugby.
It's not going to be your average.
It's amazing when you get such amazing players. Like the uptake in the price of tickets. How much were they going for your time? $5?
Very talented individuals. They were
about a $5 when Tommy was playing?
No, but we did all right.
Is it just the Ireland-England game? Because that always gets the most attention, doesn't it?
Well, it's the big thing. It's the problem, I think, in Ireland now is that the demand for tickets, that it's very corporate-driven now. You talk about the Prawn Sandwich Brigade with Man United and Roy Keane having a go. But the fact is, it's 49,000 people can go to the Aviva. The demand, they could sell it twice over. And myself and Donncha spoke about this in our podcast recently and how these matches should be played in Croke Park.
Panto plug, podcast plug. Let's keep on going.
The offload, check it out and all.
But what did you discuss? Do you think Croke Park should be opened up?
Croke Park should be opened up for certain internationals, the likes of Ireland, England, Ireland against France, because you've an
the IRFU is not going to allow that, obviously.
But there's ways and means. They've done it in the past. Now, Aviva obviously paid to be the sponsor of the Aviva Stadium.
Yeah.
But if you had an extra 30,000 tickets available, it means actual, genuine rugby supporters could go along. And the ticket prices wouldn't be as expensive.
So this is what we're asking you today. GAA fans, rugby fans, football fans, handball fans, whatever. What do you make of perhaps rugby being played more, maybe every single year in Croke Park for matches?
For the big games.
For
Ireland, New Zealand, Ireland, England.
What do you make about using our national stadium, a GAA stadium, for rugby games?
National stadium for our national team.
Absolutely. What do you make of it? 0896 111 111. This is his first platform stance. The politics will keep on coming as he runs in the general election.
About other things.
0896 111 111. We'd love to hear what you think about whether we should open up Croke Park to other sports on a more regular basis.
Coming up next, we're going to be speaking to a doctor and a patient about the importance of health checks.
We'll touch very shortly on IrelandAM.
You're very welcome back. Now, the second series of The Clinic for Well People returns with new episodes tonight, Virgin Media 1.
Joining us on the couch this morning is a patient from the new series, William Byrne, and GP Dr. Killian Keogh. Thank you both so much for being here. It's lovely to have you. William sat down and he owns the couch. He's like, yeah, it's grand, it's all good. Killian, can you tell it, what is this show about?
It's a proactive look at your health. So what happens is, the premise is people come in who are healthy and well, and then they get investigations, just a general breakdown of blood tests, urine tests, ECGs, a skin check, just to identify, well, are they as healthy as they thought they were?
You're a GP, you're obviously incredibly busy. Why did you decide it was important to do a show like this?
I think there's been a change, a move in healthcare from reactive kind of look at your health, where an event happens and then you kind of get involved in healthcare, either through your GP or hospitals, to a move to proactive healthcare.
OK, let's take a look at the Clinic for Well People, which starts tonight.
Coming down and getting a health check is really important. It's a very proactive part of your healthcare.
And William's family history is top of the agenda.
There are things sometimes that are just outside your control. I'll tell you things that are outside your control. Gender, male gender, age and family history. And sometimes they just get on top of everything else.
William will now meet a new doctor at the clinic, Steve Karajanis. His special interest is in early skin cancer detection.
A lot of times we look at them and we know straight away it's a melanoma. No doubt about it. This is one of those.
It's an anxious moment for William. He's at the Bon Secours Hospital to have a suspicious mole removed.
The key here is early diagnosis means early intervention, which means a much better outcome. You may ask, was it worth taking out? Absolutely. As you know, we felt it was a little bit atypical, and indeed the results did show that it was an atypical mole.
Okay, we're looking at a very serious thing, and we all got attraction to the fact that William is wearing the same socks. Are they your lucky socks?
Yeah, definitely.
They must be the lucky socks. So, William, there's you going on a show. Why? First of all, why did you decide to go on this? Like, because you're opening yourself up to the public, and it's your health.
Well, I didn't think of that now. I thought I was 100% fit. I'd sneak under the radar. They wouldn't even show me on TV. So that was my plan.
Yeah.
Obviously, they did find them out.
Well, this is it. So, because it's a clinic for well people, so you had no ill effects. You're a fit, healthy man. You just thought you'd go and get checked out.
Because I wouldn't normally get checked. So I wouldn't go to doctors. No, I wouldn't.
Because it's a thing with men. Kind of don't feel that they don't even go to the doctor if they don't feel right. So why? Who signed you up for it, or what made you think?
Well, I watched the first season. I thought, well, that's a good idea. Really, people who are really healthy go on the show. Get a free MOT, basically.
Okay.
So then, but my intention was, I was 100% healthy. You'd find nothing, and I'd sneak under the radar and just get all these free checks done, and that's it. It won't be on TV at all.
And when you first, because we'll get onto what happened with that mole, but when William first came in, he obviously was like, sure, look at me. I'm a fine specimen. I'm great.
I thought he was bulletproof.
Yeah.
Bulletproof, yeah.
Is that how a lot of people can sometimes enter?
Well, I think so. Like, I think William, in fairness to him, lives a lot of the lifestyle measures that we look out for. So he's like exercise well, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke. And like, they're so important. Like, a lot of your health is done 80, 90% before you even encounter healthcare. at home and what you eat and how you exercise.
Okay.
So there's the silent killers, so like so your blood pressure, your cholesterol might be not things that you would be aware of. Would they be the sort of checks that you're doing?
Well, they're very important, yeah, because it's those events, so they can be very silent, asymptomatic is what we call them in GP, and all of a sudden somebody doesn't know they have them and then they have an event, a heart attack, you know, or stroke, God forbid, but like that can happen. So that's why it is important to get like a checkup with your healthcare provider.
And the one thing that you said there, you know, you can't, you know, your gender, and then when you mentioned family history, had you thought about your family history, like in your life when it came to health?
Not until actually they found them all, because my mother died of cancer, her sister died of cancer, her brother died of cancer, and my cousin, so the mother's side of all died of cancer. So, but I never really linked the two together until the mole.
So whenever you found out about the mole, you can see why you would be very anxious.
Yeah, it was a bit worrying then, like, you know. I tried not to be worried,
Yeah.
obviously, but yeah, I was a bit worried.
And what was the story with the mole?
Well, it was thank God it came back clear.
Okay. What would you be looking out for, Cillian, on an abnormal mole?
I think if you're at home and you had a mole, you'd want to look for any changes to it first and foremost. So if it changes colour, if it grows, if it bleeds, they'd be kind of like some of the key red flags that we'd be talking about. And then, as I already said, about family history or smoking or anything like that in your own background. You know?
I was only expecting to see Deric topless this morning. He's normally the one who only gets topless on our show. But William, you are there, but you're doing something very important. They're mole mapping, they're looking at that, and you had to have one removed.
To me, that was a freckle. When I saw that, I thought it was a freckle.
Yeah.
It's only when he actually got really close to it, I went, ooh, that doesn't look too good. Because it showed actually in the big light how jagged edges it was two different colours. So yeah, it was kind of, I would have never got that checked.
But I suppose the thing is, we're not medical professionals, and you don't think about these things. Like now I've seen that, I'm kind of like, oh God, do I need to get something checked? Like, you don't want to make yourself a hypochondriac, but there are these things that are going on.
I do think that like there's so much information out there now, and actually it's about kind of disseminating what's important and what's not. And that's why I kind of tell people, if you have any concerns, do go to your GP, because like, you know, if you have an itchy toe nowadays, you nearly think you have cancer, you know, at that stage, you know. But you want to go and get that reassurance, and or otherwise, or organise investigations if they're needed.
Yeah.
You know?
How important is thinking about your family history?
In certain conditions, it's very important. So specifically looking at heart disease, for example. So, you know, there's Irish families who have had, you know, their aunts and uncles, like who've all had heart attacks or heart events or whatever it could be described. And in those cases, it's very significant. Some cancers, again, are important as well. Yeah.
Is there an age that you would recommend people go off specifically to have a check like this?
It's hard to say any like specific age, but I suppose there's no harm having like checkpoints in your life, do you know? So obviously when people have a roundy birthday, for example, do you know, that sort of way. It is true though, like as in, and
was that you?
Well, I'm 60,
You're 60?
Well, I was 40 this year as well, and I decided to go to the GP to go get checks as well, because why not?
And that's like, it is that like, so, you know, and it doesn't mean, you know, you have to go every year by any means, but if you do have to get something that has to be monitored, then, you know, it is those annual or 6-month checks.
There's one thing that I think we're seeing emerge when it comes to our healthcare system and the HSE, and that everything is after the fact. You talk about being proactive. We had a GP on the other day, and she was like, we know that every year in January, flu cases are going to go up. We know that this is going to happen, but yet it gets worse every single year. There's a lot that's going on with our healthcare system, and we don't feel like we have control over it. Do we have to start being more proactive ourselves to take personal responsibility for our health, even though we know we should and could have a better healthcare system?
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I mean, there are things that we have access to that, like, especially as you see the surge in flu cases, for example. Has everyone taken up their flu vaccines this winter? A lot of people have them for, like, they're free, you know, in the pharmacy or in the GP. They'd be examples of them. And, like, I think, and also for kids as well, you know, it's just, I suppose increasing that awareness as well is important, you know.
William, whenever you did get the results back from the mole, so the cells were atypical, which meant it could have developed into melanoma.
Could have, yeah.
Was that frightening? Was that something that's made you think that, you know, in your next 5 years you might go get checked again? Is
yeah,
it
I'm more aware now.
Would you advise more people to do something?
100%. I mean, I do check now really regularly, you know, so which is unusual for me now, because I would take time now and just check to make sure there's nothing else.
And with your pals and stuff as well, just say to them, listen, go get would you advise other people to do it?
I'm sure they're all watching this now, and I'm getting a bit of stick already, so it should be some fun now tonight.
Tell you with the top off, there you go.
Well, you know,
you're training hard to lead up to that one.
As I said, I thought I'd just go sneak onto the radar and I wouldn't be on TV, but looking at that now.
And also, can I just say, fair play for putting yourself out there in that situation. It's amazing that we've got GPs who are willing to go on TV, give up their time to do this, but that you went and that you did it as well. And maybe as a result, your friends tonight might buy you a new pair of socks.
Thanks very much.
Might have a different pair of socks.
You never know, something like this could save someone's life, and that's what the whole
It's amazing.
It's about being proactive as being reactive. So good on you both for that. It is called The Clinic for Well People. It's the second season. The first episode airs tonight at 9 o'clock on Virgin Media 1 and Virgin Media Play, if you want to catch up on it. Good on you for both being involved. William Byrne, clinic part of it as well, and Dr. Killian Keogh, GP.
Thank you.
Thank you
guys.
so much. Welcome back. We're bringing good hair habits into 2025 with some tips to help tame your mane.
Yes, trichologist Claire Fulham now is going to take us through the hairbrushes you need for the type of hair you have and all the textures. Good morning to you, Claire. And you're saying the types of brushes you need. So does that mean most people have more than one brush? Because I know I only have one, but I probably only need one.
You only need one, yeah. So myself and Mary might need more if we want to style our hair, do you know, that kind of way?
Yeah.
Or if you had natural curly hair, maybe you would lean on a different type of brush. But like, don't go out and buy loads of brushes. You don't really need to. Just buy one decent hairbrush, but you will need others to style your hair, which is fair enough. But if you're just someone who washes and goes, blow dries their hair with a brush, you don't need to be getting loads of different brushes.
Right.
Yeah, because like, you know, if you've got afro hair, obviously you're going to need a comb, going to need different. So it is different textures, but at the same time, we're not here about overconsumption.
Yeah, no.
Not having different hairbrushes for absolutely everything. When it comes to someone who's got curly hair, naturally curly hair, that can be tricky, especially for parents, whatever. There's like, oh, don't brush your hair.
Yeah.
What's the situation? What's
a
going on
lot
there?
of curly boys and girls won't brush their hair through because they look like Sideshow Bob when they brush it through. That kind of way. So what I would encourage as a trichologist would be to ask them to brush their hair before the shower, because it doesn't matter then. You're getting into the shower and you're going to wash the hair and all that kind of stuff. But when you brush curls, you will disturb them. So a lot of people with curly hair won't brush it when it's wet. They'll actually scrunch it up. They'll put it into a t-shirt to protect the style of the hair. But what I would ask is before you get into the shower to brush the hair through.
To detangle everything.
And to get the hair that's come out over the past week. Do you know, that kind of way? Lose 100 hairs a day. So that will build up in the hair. So it's really important, you know.
Okay, now talking about losing 100 hairs a day. I think most people, you're going, she was saying, will I show this? I said, I can guarantee you most people at home.
We see a close-up of that.
Most people.
Is that yours?
It's my teenagers.
Most people at home's hairbrush will look a bit like that. I mean, there's an awful lot of hair mangled into that.
That's my hairbrush.
Yeah, exactly, but that's most people's hairbrush. You were like mortified about that. I can guarantee you. And look, so you're pulling hair off like that.
Yeah.
And that's what most people are doing at home to clean their brush. They're just taking it like that.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily what we should be doing.
Claire's like, thank you for cleaning my daughter's hair.
Yeah,
that's great.
Your
Job.
daughter's, there you go. So we should be doing this, but also then washing it.
So what I'd love you to do is take all this hair. Now, people have utensils to take it out. Just put your finger in and grab it and pull,
what utensils would you need?
Like
scissors.
Sometimes like the end of a tail comb. Do you know, like they'll pull it out.
Well, if you have that, that's fair enough.
Right?
Yeah.
But like, that's for the magpies then, right? So you're literally pulling that out, but that's not really good enough. That won't get rid of bacteria. That won't get rid of dead skin cells. So once a week, when you're about to get in to wash your hair, stick it in. Now look at the back of that and everything. That's not going to clean that. But stick it in the sink, right? So a couple of pumps of your antibacterial soap, okay?
That you're using on your hands.
You're using it on your hands. You're going to put that into the sink while you have a shower. Then you're going to get out of the shower and you're literally just going to dry that off, like give it a bit of a dry. You don't need to go into... And then you can brush your hair because your hair's wet anyway.
Yeah.
I'd love you to do that once a week.
Once a week, because you were saying, you're saying even if that's in the bathroom, there's little bits of poo and everything in that's floating around your bathroom, your hair, everything, the scalp from your scalp.
The biggest things that are found on our hairbrushes are dead skin cells, bacteria, poo and mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise, yes.
How is mayonnaise in your
people are messy.
I like my poo hair today, I'm going to be honest. I'm very happy with it.
Loving your poo hair today.
But that's the reality. And then you're getting out of the shower with your lovely clean scalp and hair and you're putting the poo and the mayonnaise back in. Do you know that kind
mayonnaise?
of like, it's just something that we eat a lot and all that kind of stuff. So God knows what's in people's hair.
What's in Tommy Bowles' hair? My God. The amount of food that fella eats.
But yeah, really important.
That is an if anyone takes anything away from today,
100%.
that's what you need.
Once a week.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to talk about some of these hair brushes.
Yeah.
What are they best for?
So the bell brush is a great one. This is a bell brush as well, and this is a baby bell. So this is perfect for your handbag. This is perfect for children's hair as well. It's a mixed bristle brush, all right? So really good that you have the nylon bristles, but then you also have the boar bristles as well. So it's really good for sensitive scalps, and it's really good at unknotting the hair quite naturally.
If I use that, my hair gets really fly away.
It shouldn't, because the boar bristles, you might prefer the magic brush then, just a one bristle brush for you if that's what your hair's
Can you
prone to.
style your hair? Can you use a hair dryer on that?
You can, because there's vents in it, so it's open at the back. Do that kind of way, so the heat will escape through the back of the brush.
Okay.
So the Bell Brush, Irish company, gorgeous.
It's got something like you'd brush your shoes with or something.
So this is the Smooth companies. This is actually to try and really, give that style of a slicked back look.
That one where it's all pulled back,
all the girlies.
straight down, the girly hair one where it's
the clean girl aesthetic.
Yes.
Anything but, let me tell you, clean. But definitely that's the look that everyone's going for. The Smooth
That's what
company,
it is.
another gorgeous Irish company, are doing this really well. There's loads of ones out there that were quite cheap, and the bristles on them are quite plasticky and stuff as well, and they're pulling at the hair.
Interesting.
Smooth company have done a really good job
Okay,
there.
fair
Good
play.
It's
quality.
quite posh, doesn't
What's
it?
Yeah.
It's a little bag and everything.
So this is to protect your hairbrush from the poo, right? So if you put... or the mayonnaise. So that's a little holder for the brush. So if you're popping...
so keep it in that.
Yeah.
And
So-
you'll keep it clean.
Exactly.
Cleaner.
What's that good for?
That's good for any type of hair as well. Great for detangling, great for children's hair too, the magic brush. You can get those in smaller sizes. But what I love about this is you can pop it in the changing bag, you can pop it in your handbag, your gym bag, because it has that protective holder. Really smart,
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
Scalp
massager.
brush, please clean that too. Like, that's so important. So when you're cleaning your hairbrush once a week, lash that into the sink as well, do you know?
Okay,
this.
even
Love
though
that.
you
Love
keep it
that.
in the shower, make sure you clean it.
make sure you clean it.
Okay, that's very
Yeah.
good. What's this one for?
Detanglers, really important. Some people don't use conditioner, which is so bad. It's like, using loads of acids on your skin. Jennifer Rock wouldn't let you walk out the house without SPF and
Yes.
moisturiser. So you shouldn't be doing that with your hair. You should be using a conditioner. Detanglers
I
are
never use a conditioner in my hair.
Do you not? No. Again, you don't have length. So the more length you have,
The more you need it.
Do you know that kind of way? But really important to use. Do never try and brush hair without help. So what you're doing here with these guys is putting it into damp hair and then brushing your hair
Because your
through.
brushing is causing damage to your hair.
100%.
Yeah.
Your hair's more likely to break when it's wet. 41% more likely to break.
So should you not brush your hair when it's wet?
Not without help. So you're going to stick something in the ends and then you're
Yeah.
going to go at it. Does that make sense?
And the argan oil?
Very same thing. That's just, it's €2. That one was €2 in the pharmacy last night, that kind of way. So no excuse not to try and make sure you're protecting the ends of your hair.
Okay.
So important. Don't ever go at your hair with a hairbrush without help.
Without help, and brushing does cause breakage, so kind of do it at the right time. Be
And
delicate
wash your
with it.
brushes. Wash your brushes once a week. Get that poo out of your brush. Claire, trichologist, thank you so much for that.
So much. You really do learn something new every day. Now up next, Deric is in County Meath.
Yes, he's recycling Christmas trees. We'll see in a few minutes.
There might be some poo involved in that as
There
well.
might be, actually.
You're very welcome back. Now, lots of people getting the Christmas trees collected, but we're all wondering, where do they go?
Are we?
Well,
Yes, everyone.
Deric is finding out in County Meath this morning.
He's exploring sustainable solutions for greener gardens. Morning, Deric.
Yes, good morning, team. Well, have you ever wondered what happens to your Christmas tree once the festive season is done and dusted? Well, thousands of tons of them land up here at the compost facility in Ballynalurgan here in Kilmainham Wood in North County Meath. David Duff is the man behind it all. Good morning to you, David.
Good morning.
Yeah, great to have you with us. David, first up, explain to the viewers at home, why do we have these white suits on us?
Well, we're actually in our outgoing compost hall at the moment. So basically, this is our clean zone. So the white suits are being worn so that we don't introduce any bacteria from the rest of the plant into this shed.
Yeah, I love how you say this is actually the clean zone, right?
Composting and waste, this is as clean as it gets.
This is as clean as it gets. All right, talk us through from start to finish, because a lot of people now are starting to dispose of their Christmas trees at home. So talk us through step by step the process.
So at the moment, people are stripping their Christmas trees and they're bringing them to their local depots, local recycling centres. Dublin City Council has 6 of these located around their area. We basically collect the Christmas trees every day and we take them to a third-party facility of ours where we basically shred the Christmas trees. Once we have the trees shredded, they're brought down to this facility here in Kilmainham Wood and we're going to basically compost them.
Now, in terms of the shredding, I mean, you get thousands of trees, right? So it's a big process.
Yes, last year we took in from the Dublin City Council 165 tonnes of Christmas trees. So you're talking between 10 to 12,000 trees.
Yeah, and obviously that's then all mulched down into what we see then into the compost.
Correct. So basically we're going to mulch or shred them trees down into smaller fragments and we're going to feed that shredded Christmas trees into our process here. The benefit of putting the shredded Christmas trees into the process is it creates aeration. It allows for aeration within the composting and it creates stability within the composting pile.
Now, once they come from the pickup site and they're shredded, they landed here at the compost facility. We had the big truck earlier on this morning bringing about 30 tonne of Christmas trees, all the shredded mulch. Take us through the process then of what happens, that mulch.
So once that mulch arrives on site, we're going to weigh it and we're going to tip it into our reception hall. So we looked at that process earlier this morning. Once it gets into our reception hall, we basically have to blend it with other material. So we blend it with food waste that has come from the brown bin collections. We also blend it with wood chip and we'll blend it with old compost material that has lots of bacteria already in it. So it's like baking a cake. You're making your mixture, you're mixing your ingredients in the right fraction, and then we're going to bring that mixture into one of 29 composting bays, which is in the main part of this facility.
Breaking down the mulch then, I mean, it's quite an intricate process, right?
Yeah, well, composting is very scientific. So basically what we're planning to do on this site is we're basically farming the bacteria. So we're creating an environment that the bacteria are happy to live in. That's an environment that has rich in oxygen, a bit of moisture and plenty of heat. So this shed today is roughly 30 degrees. It's about -3 degrees outside. So the bacteria is growing very actively in this process. The purpose of the bacteria then is to break down the organic matter within the food waste.
Okay, so once you take it from there then, you actually bring it into this facility here. Talk us through where we are at the moment then.
So this is the back end of the facility. At the front end where all the material has been composted is the far side of the shed. Once the material is composted, we screen the compost. We take out any contamination. So things like plastic bags, wrappers, etc. is all taken out. And we basically produce a batch of 300 tonnes of compost. That batch of 300 tonnes of compost material is put into this bay here. This is our pasteurisation bay.
Pasteurisation bay. And of course, you were telling me earlier on you work very closely with the Department of Agriculture and of course the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency.
Yes, so this facility is licensed by the EPA, so we have to abide by certain environmental standards. And the process itself of making the compost is regulated by the Department of Agriculture.
Okay.
What we're basically doing here is we're taking organic material and we're going to break it down into a compost, which is used as a fertiliser.
Okay, so once it comes out of the pasteurisation, it ends up here, and this in fact is the final product.
This is the final product, so after 12 weeks of the composting process, this is what your food waste or your Christmas trees is going to be turned into.
Oh, fantastic. And tell me what you do with all of this then?
So this material is basically sent to farmers, it is sent to them throughout the year, and basically is ploughed into tillage land.
Okay.
It is used as a natural fertiliser. So
and you give it to them free of charge?
It's given to them free of charge, and we can also spread it for them as well.
Yeah.
And basically it's going to be used to supplement nutrients or reintroduce nutrients back into the ground.
Okay, so from start to finish, this is the final product, so to speak?
This is the final finished product of a reusable organic material made locally in Ireland, sent to local farmers.
Oh, absolutely loving that. Where can we find out more online?
You can find out more online on Thornton's website at thorntons-recycling.ie.
And you and all the team, Donald's with us, and George as well, who was backing up that truck up a slippy slope this morning, wasn't
Definitely
he?
this morning, yeah.
Yeah, so well done to everyone involved. I hope you enjoy that, guys. I hope you learned lots from everyone here in County Meath. Back to studio, right? Can we load up a bag of it, bring it home?
More than welcome.
Look at the amount that's left there from the Christmas trees. That's incredible.
Unbelievable, yeah.
Wow.
Very good. What the dirty area was with the smell as well. Thank you very much, Deric. Very, very interesting.
Now,
I did wonder where the trees went.
No, it's been on concert for you. Coming up in the final hour, we're going to be chatting to renowned referee Michelle O'Neill about retirement.
Stylist Mandy Marr has some warm winter looks that we need this week.
And I can't believe he's keeping us till the end of the
I
show.
know.
I'm absolutely starving. Paul Knapp is here. He's got the perfect soup to chase away the chill. We'll see. And if look at him busy away there, we'll see you here in a few minutes.
Welcome back to IrelandAM. Coming up, we're going to be sitting down with referee Michelle O'Neill very shortly. We're going to be chatting about her retirement from international football refereeing. That's coming up at 9:20. Just before we came back, Alan and Tommy were shouting at each other about celery for some reason. I don't know why it's caused such consternation. Tommy, what's happening?
Well, it is a very interesting word, I have you know. At the base to every, we had Jack O'Keefe yesterday talking about it, Alberto Rossi always talking about it. We have Paul Knapp now talking about the key to carrots, onion and celery is the base to all these stews and soups.
Absolutely, yeah. Welcome to Cooking with Tommy. Later on in the show, we'll be talking about fashion.
Yeah, you step aside. What are we making?
What do you want? Basically.
Well, I'm just devastated. It's not going to be until 9:45.
We're making a harissa spiced, kind of a Moroccan harissa spiced, kind of a chickpea and lentil soup. Lovely winter warm on a cold day like today.
It is exactly what you need. If you're stuck in the snow, you don't know what to do, you've got all the ingredients here.
Absolutely.
And I can't wait to get started on Paul Knapp and Tommy, but we should start it.
We should, yeah, podcast.
There wouldn't be much left. Okay. Right, Alan, you're on the catwalk this morning. I'm going to get tucked into
What's it? A mirror what?
Mirepoix, isn't it?
Yeah. Mirepoix.
Or Sofretto.
Mirepoix. That's what we were talking about. Now, Mandy Marr is doing something totally different. She's going to show us how to get wrapped up in winter warmers. Good morning
to you. Good morning to you too. So we're getting warm with the food, but we're also getting warm with the clothes this morning. And that's exactly with the week that's in it. We just decided, OK, let's wrap up, keep warm. You can still go out and about, looking stylish at the same time, but it really is about comfort. I absolutely adore this outfit, but particularly love the colouring mix. I just think it's incredible. But yeah, so lots of knits, lots of layering this morning for you, and definitely ready for the cold.
Looking forward to that now. But now let's go across.
Now, you might have seen it earlier this week. The roof of the Tralee Sports Complex collapsed due to heavy snow in the area. We saw pictures of it earlier this morning.
Absolutely. Here to tell us more about the damage that has been done is Tralee Wanderers basketball player Kieran Donaghy. Good morning, Kieran. Thanks so much for joining us. Come here. We've all seen the pictures, the devastation. How bad? Is there anything left standing in the complex?
Yeah, the two swimming pools are left standing, Murren, but obviously access is highly dangerous at the moment, so everything's kind of sealed off. But I think the two swimming pools that were redone by Finbar and his brilliant team in the complex over the last number of years are still there as far as I know. I haven't been able to get access to the venue, but that's what we're being told.
So, look, we're looking at pictures of it now. Obviously, the snow down in Tralee, that part of the country, is pretty terrible at the minute, Kieran. For the basketball team, the Tralee Wanderers, what have you been able to do? Are there local facilities in other parishes you can use?
There is, Tommy, but I suppose for us, the financial implications are the complex was the largest venue and we used to regularly pack it out on Saturday nights, and that gate is probably vital to us in terms of getting the numbers that we get between 600 and 800 in the games is kind of vital to keep the club going. So there's no venue that has that at the moment. We're in talks with a number of venues, including our brilliant college up here, the NTU, that have built a brand new facility, but just trying to find seating companies, I suppose, that we can probably try and rent seats off of so we can get bums in those seats at the games is probably the vital part for us. So, but yeah, the Irish College has reached out, allowing us to rent their facility last night for training, and we're working on Thursday night at the moment. Probably lucky in the fact that we've a bit of a break in the season for 2 or 3 weeks, so we're actually quite lucky that we have time to maybe try and find somewhere else.
And you've done so much to publicise the game of basketball in Ireland. You have been working at this for so long. It's a complete passion of yours. But not just that, this complex, it's been running since 1977, I think. And, Kerry County Council own it as well as Kerry Education. How important is it in the community, Kieran?
And who can help pay to fix it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose, look, they're the challenges, and we will certainly need to lean on everybody to get this building back up, because it is vital not only to the Warriors. We've been playing out of it and have had huge success over the last 10 years, but I played in it with the Tralee Tigers before that, and went there as a kid in the late 80s and 90s to watch the Garveys Tigers back in the day as well. So it's a huge hub for the sport here, but obviously there's badminton clubs, there's my own daughter does gymnastics in the complex, there's the racquetball, there's there's so many people affected to it, but it's obviously a hub of the community in terms of sports, which is vitally important for the youth around the town. So we will be looking at all avenues, and I'm sure the team inside in the complex, and our thoughts go to the staff that are obviously, this is not the news you want on the 6th and 7th of January, that the place you work is after collapsing. So there's a whole lot going on around Tralee in regards to that. And yeah, we're going to have to look at exhausting every avenue to try and get something built and get something up as quickly as possible to allow all those people to get back in action, because sport is so vital for the community.
Yeah, no, listen, it is, and to see the damage that's done, and such a big part of the community as well, as you said, the likes of the swimming pool and everything else. So many people are being affected by this, and it's happening all over the country. So many people are being affected in different areas as well. We hope that the council and yourself, you can get yourself sorted, you get the seats in and keep the club going. The Tralee Warriors, I mean, you've done so much for them as well. Kieran, I have to ask you as well, you've been a legend of the game of basketball, but also Gaelic football. You've been in Croke Park for years. We were talking earlier on about the Aviva Stadium. I'm saying the Irish matches for Ireland, England and France should be in Croke Park this year to let more people watch it, an extra 30,000. Would you welcome the rugby back to GAA headquarters? What do you reckon?
Oh yeah, I'm sure the atmosphere that was there for the original game when Sean Kelly opened it up was absolutely unbelievable. So if the venue is free, and once there's no football and hurling games, Tommy, and if it's free, there's no concerts, there's a lot goes on in Croke Park. So once it's free, I'm sure there'll be no one from the GAA background would be upset to see Ireland and England on in Croke Park, and to get that 86 or 87,000 into it. It's magic there for sure.
Sure is.
Not to put you on the spot or anything like that.
Sorry.
He was like, what is he asking me about now?
Throw you under the bus there.
I'm here to try to get engineers involved with getting the club back up and running. Listen, we know that you're doing so much and you're reaching out to so many people that engineer and of course, listen, it's down to the insurance. But thanks a million for talking about this, Kieran, because we know it's so important for the area. Tralee Warriors basketball player Kieran Donaghy, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Mary.
Cheers, Kieran. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Lot of work to be done.
You could see his face looking above the computer going,
with this?
What's he talking about?
I have to say, a lot of people agreeing with him on this. Alan says, as a GAA and rugby fan, definitely open up Croke Park. It's a no-brainer. I've been at 200 international matches. My first was in 1981, Ireland versus Australia. A schoolboy ticket was £1.
There you go. And now they're talking €2,500.
But there you go, 200 international matches. A GAA and a rugby fan says it's a no-brainer.
And Teresa says definitely open up Croke Park. If more ordinary people get to enjoy the game, that's great. Plenty of GAA fans are also avid rugby fans.
Yeah, interesting. Noel, Croke Park is for the GAA. The Aviva was always rugby. It would be sad to see our GAA stadium being used for rugby.
Why?
There you go.
But it has been used before. But I mean, listen, we're just saying that at 49,000 for Ireland against England, Ireland against France, the demand is so high. I just think it would be great to see. Now, Aviva obviously wouldn't be too happy about it, so I can't see it happening, but maybe in the future.
And the atmosphere when it's all corporate is great crack, isn't it?
Yes, it's something that they definitely need to maybe address.
Maybe look at it. Thank you so much for getting involved in those messages this morning. Now, coming up after the break, we'll be chatting to trailblazing referee Michelle O'Neill.
We sure will. We'll be talking about her rise to success and her decision to retire at the top of her game. That's coming up after the break.
Welcome back. Our next guest has represented Ireland in the likes of the Olympics and the World Cup, and becoming Ireland's most decorated female referee.
Michelle O'Neill certainly broke barriers and paved the way for future generations, and she joins us now. Good morning to you. Great to have you with us.
Morning.
Congratulations on an amazing career. I know you've announced your retirement, but I have to ask, like from the start, like getting to the level of where you were, like how important was sport for you growing up?
Sport was my life, really. From an early age, you know, I was an Irish dancer first and foremost, and then athletics, and then camogie, and then football. Played club and county.
So football wasn't the first one you went into?
No, and I only then went into football, soccer later in life at the age of 18. Was my first time I played, other than in school and stuff. So
you had a baby at 17 and you started playing soccer at 18. Take up another thing as if you weren't busy enough.
Yes, and the doctor, I asked the doctor, I was like, so when can I go back? And it was like 6 weeks after. Okay, so 6 weeks after I was playing junior county.
6 weeks after you gave birth, you were off playing junior county. That's something about youth, isn't it? That's pretty impressive.
All right.
Because that would have been like, you know, I suppose, you know, being pregnant at 17, that takes up so much of your identity. Were you like, there's more going on, lads?
Yeah, I was just like, okay, this is happening. Fine, no problem. Let's do this and continue, you know.
And you took it in your stride?
Took it in my stride, and I knew there was, you know, I knew where I wanted to go in life, and I just, maybe I'll just curve around it this way a bit. And then just readapt and readjust, kind of different life choices, you know. And I said at some stage I'll be able to come back to whatever I wanted to do, you know. So my dream never died. So yeah.
Was refereeing what you wanted to do?
No.
Or how did you get into that?
I suppose as a 7-year-old, you know, my dream was to be representing Ireland at the Olympics at some stage, at whatever it was. I didn't know, couldn't visualise what it was, but at the time, my role model would have been Sonia O'Sullivan, in athletics. And I was in athletics at the time, so my dream was to represent Ireland Olympics at the age of 7 and go fast forward all the way to 2021. And Tokyo Olympics, I was the first ever match official to represent Ireland at the Olympics. So my dream came true, and that was a crying moment.
I can only imagine.
Moment, so.
But I think an awful lot of people, like Tommy, as a professional sports person, is kind of looking at you going, "But like you love sport. How do you get to be the moon tour on the pitch? Like, how did it come that someone said? Did someone say you'd be good at putting manners on some people? Like, what happened?
Yes and no. There was both things happened at the same time. As in, I played right up till I was 30 years of age. In sport, and I always kind of felt that more needed to be done on a pitch. I was one of these players that questioned every single decision of a referee. So I was like, and why was that? Why you keep asking me these questions? Because I want to learn. I want to know I won't do it again. And then push the boundary all the way up to, you know, maybe get your yellow, but I never got a red card. So, and then I'd pull back. But then I also had the feeling of, well, I never saw a female referee. So it was just a given that females don't referee now. So then it was like, hold on a minute, why not? And then the more I was thinking this way, one of the referees was like, there's a beginner course next week. I think you'd be good at it. So because I probably questioned him a lot in that match. And then I went on, okay, I'll go and learn. And if anything, I'll go do a beginner's course, learn the laws of the game, and then make myself a better player. And that's how it started. But the very first minute I did a first match under 10s, and I helped, say, teach him how to throw in the ball properly or whatever. I just felt, no, this is it. I loved it so much that, no, I like this.
It's interesting you say, because it is such a male-dominated sphere, and like you've refereed at the very top level in the men's and the women's game. Did you encounter much of, like we talk about male referees, all referees getting abuse, but I would say for you in those early stages when people kind of saw you turning up wondering, what's going on here? Like, what did you have many obstacles and barriers in the early stages?
Yeah, every stage of refereeing was an obstacle and barrier. Every competition I was going into, you know, it wasn't just the one. So I felt like there was always this barrier. At the very start, early of my career, I was straight into schoolboys and junior football in Wexford because I wanted to play, and what if I didn't like it? So I didn't have the crossover there. So I just turned up to the game. I remember one incident, I turned up to the first match and some of the men were there and were like, "Oh, the women's match is being played over there today. You're in the wrong pitch." I was like, "All right, what's your number? Who are you? What team are you?" And have the conversation. So went in, togged off, and then came back and he was like, "Oh, it's you." I said, "Yeah." So be careful what you say to me today now.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Not a good start.
So, and then I remember the next match then I did get there was a very heated abuse on the pitch, and I was like, same again, I have 2 chills.
But was it gendered abuse? Like, was it different?
Yes, it was. It was gendered abuse. And I just sent him off. I said, "There's no place for that here." I said, I'm here to referee football. I'm not here to listen to what you have to say to me. Okay. I said, because I always said, if you've few tools, if you're fit, you're up at play, you know the knowledge, the laws of the game, and you have your tools, which is the red and yellow card, stamp it out. And the word quickly went around.
Stamp it out. And the word did go around because the next thing, you were at the top of the game and you're refereeing at the World Cup. Like, I remember that. I remember the chats about it being on TV and fair play to an awful lot. This is Michelle O'Neill from Ireland and she's going to be refereeing. What was that like? Like to go up through the ranks quite quickly?
Yeah.
One would think a few years and next thing you're at the World Cup.
Yeah, it's very surreal when it happens because you're so focused and so goal oriented. You're in elite athlete mode at that stage, and you just don't stop till you get there. And it was only till you're actually walking out, stepping onto that pitch, where you're like, "Oh my God, I've dreamed about this. I've visualized this for many years, and now I'm actually stepping out into my dreams." It's just this one big surreal moment where you're like, "Okay, hold back that emotion for 90 more minutes and then let it rip," so.
You're also a part of the match. It was Liverpool against Chelsea 2019, wasn't it? The Super Cup final in Istanbul. I mean, the atmosphere over there is insane. As a referee,
they don't hold back in Istanbul.
No, and it was the first all-female refereeing team as well to officiate this men's Super Cup final as well. Went to penalties. Yeah. Hell of a game. Yeah. Liverpool ended up winning penalties that day as well. Like, what was it like being a part of these? Like, the buzz, but you're there to do your job.
Yeah, I mean, you just a month later after the World Cup final to have all them emotions and then to come out and walk in onto a stage where there was, I think, 2 billion people tuned in, and there was like, you have 70,000 in the crowd and the spectators, the atmosphere, and you're walking out and the respect we got was unbelievable. So we were waiting for the negative side of things, but we
people
just walked
questioning
out.
your decision more because you're a woman. I
so
would
the
assume.
Next minute, like we walked out and the crowds the spectators were clapping. We were like, "Is that for us? Where's the team coming behind us?" Okay. No, it's for you guys. Do you know the respect we got because we approached the game as right. We're here. The severe pressure on us to perform in decisions, but it's like show everyone what's possible. So everything became possible that game because we just had to do what we did best.
Yes.
And show the world what we could do.
When you call an offside in a match like that, like the pressure, and you're talking, millimetres to make these decisions. Is there social media abuse? Like, is it difficult or, do you just take it in your stride?
Yeah, look, you have to know what to listen to and what not to listen to.
And even on the sideline, because the abuse, you're like, a couple of feet from the crowd.
Yeah, so you have to have your noise ears on, blinkers. Okay. You have to just drown it out. You have to really do a lot of mind coaching and a lot of mindset. And you have to really just focus. So you have to really focus on your decisions because if you misfocus on one decision, the next decision is another 3 seconds time and you have to make another decision. We could make up to 200 decisions in a game and non-decisions that you don't even know about. So to make a huge decision in that game that disallow a goal for a team to win and lose and huge stakes and huge prize money, huge everything, the pressures become surreal, but you have to train for it and prepare for it.
It's really interesting because reading about your training, you were in elite athlete mode, the amount you have to do, the bleep tests, all the horrible stuff you have to do. You're clearly into, focusing, focusing and visualising and all that kind of stuff. But you've given it all up. At the top of your game, because you're in art now, you've got art going on, your son's 28, you're doing art together. Why did you give it all up?
Yeah, because I knew, I actually stretched out my career an extra 4 years more than I was anticipating. So originally I was thinking of after the Olympics, but then I was asked by FIFA again, will we give another World Cup? And I said, yeah, because, you know, I knew the growth of football was coming big. And I said, right, and I want to be in Australia because I had this feeling that Ireland were going to qualify.
Yeah.
And I just knew that that was going to be a massive moment. So I was like, no. And I even sacrificed a lot more, and I did a lot more different training, recovery, and just like, no, I can do this. Give it another go. And I said, no, I'll finish on the top. But knowing when to finish on the top is huge.
Yeah.
Well, you're an amazing inspiration, and I know you talked about whenever you started out to see referee there was what inspired you. You've done incredible, the most decorated Irish referee in any sport. You're now doing your art with your son Evan. If people want to check it out, it's Michelle O'Neill Official online. You can see some of the art. It's absolutely stunning as well. Thanks so much for coming in and talk to us. I could talk to you for another half an hour.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Fascinating.
Really
so lovely. Michelle, thanks so much for coming in. We really appreciate it. Now. Welcome back. With most of the country feeling the harsh weather, we have the perfect cold snap clothing.
Yes.
Took a while, but we got
Her
there.
top tips for your winter wardrobe is stylist Mandy Marr. Good morning, Mandy.
Good morning, and Happy New Year to you both as well.
Straight into it with Dervla today.
So obviously with the week that's in it, we want to be able to be wrapped up and yet be able to get out and about, and that's exactly what we've done in business.
You certainly feel snug in this.
I'm for sure, and it's definitely making a statement as well. This full look is from Peggy Brown. It's a small little boutique in the heart of Athenry in Galway, but this, I'm loving it because it's all about drama with this particular beautiful puffer coat, and of course it has the faux fur hood on it, and I'm loving the fact as well because it's actually an insert on this. Now it's not detachable, but it gives you that extra layering as well.
Yeah, it does look like two coats. It's cool.
Yeah,
very nice. And underneath that, you really have layered up gorgeous polo.
Yeah, so just went with a simple cream knit polo, and of course like that. And we are taking the cold spell into consideration very much this week, but it's nice. It's a really, really soft knit, and again like that we did tuck it inside, but obviously you can wear it whatever way you want or style it whatever way you like. But a knit like this is something that you'll be able to mix and match so much. It's a great little investment piece too.
Yeah, the jeans these
at the pocket fronts.
They're everywhere at the minute. The 70s jeans.
Aren't they very much? And the flares are going to be huge for this season coming forward. But I'm loving them. I'm loving the pocket detail, in particularly the flare leg. And I love the indigo blue in these. I love the shade of denim because it's really hard to get a really nice colouring in the denim, but I'm loving these colours.
And Dervla is tall, so it's nice that they do hit quite long, so that's great.
Yes, indeed.
A beautiful big bag.
Yeah, and then we just decided to bring it all together. We do like our bags, and we just went with a simple bag, a guest bag. I love it because it'll hold what you need to do, and yet it's ideal for work as well, for holding a laptop and off you go.
Gorgeous. That's a great coat. Thank you, Dervla.
Great
Cheers.
coat there now.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's from
and we're not
Peggy
forgetting about the men, and Manuel is with us today in this lovely look.
Yeah, I adore this because I adore the mix of colours. This is all from Guy Clothing in Tullamore. And I'm starting off first of all with the beanie because again like that I think this is real edgy. I think you can just finish off a look with an accessory. How do you do it? And I think a beanie like this works really well. They have a few colours in it, and of course like that as well, what I also love about, because sometimes with knit where people are always conscious about it being itchy and things like that, but it's not. It's a really beautiful material. And then we just teamed it up there with this.
Gorgeous.
Isn't this gorgeous wearing?
Ties everything together.
The scarf. Few different colours going in it, and of course it also picks up the colour with that coat. But again, like that, how you style your scarf is obviously up to yourself.
So this coat, is that an insert or?
It actually is an insert, and it is detachable, Muireann. So if you didn't want the insert, you can remove it. There's another zip just in the inside of the coat, and you can remove it if you wish.
So you've got your little kind of puffy thing, and then you've got your proper long line coat as
well. Exactly, which is ideal for layering. In particularly, I love that coat. I just think the colour is absolutely superb. Because men, we need to think outside the box, start using more colour. I think it's really, really good. And then we just went with a simple top then. It's a quarter zip top underneath. where we did
They've
the
lovely,
layering.
like they dressed me for the show, so I'm in Guy this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Guy Clothing, they just have an amazing collection of clothes for men, and again, a great printed shirt and simple chinos.
And the trousers there, just simple chinos, yeah.
Yeah. But
And-
they have in a few colours, obviously.
God, are we
And of
plugging
course,
Tommy again?
The one and only Tommy Boy. I can't come
Oh,
on
the
without
boots.
bringing on
Tommy,
the
your
boots.
boots
They're
are
the Tommy
amazing.
boots.
Hey, where is this?
I love them. And I love the shade of tan in these as well. Aren't they really, really cool? But as I said, Guy Clothing, they never disappoint when it comes to menswear.
Manuel, thank you so much. Absolutely
Get away
gorgeous.
with a little beanie hat like
Of course
that.
you would.
Moving on to look
Absolutely
3.
you would.
Jen.
Would I?
Okay, you need to come to me and we'll style you out. Absolutely. And that coat, I can tell you, I can see on you as
Jen,
well.
you look so comfy. Talk about the snood here.
So we were told we need all layering this week, Mandy, and I'm going, okay, so how do we go about it this snood? So it's great because it's kind of like it's a scarf and a hat as such, all in one.
And they're everywhere. Like, honestly, the Scandinavian, but all the Scandinavian shops, COS, all them, they all have these at the minute.
And they're cool, aren't
Yeah,
they?
they're
Now,
fab.
they have them in loads of colours. This full look is from Aria Boutique in Meath. And of course, like that has the scarf effect, which it keeps you really, really warm. I'm loving the puffer jacket on this. And do you know what I love more so about this coat is because of the blue zip. It's different.
Gorgeous.
It's adding a bit of colour and something
Actually,
a little bit different. It's waterproof as well, to note on that. And the collar, if you're not a mad fan of faux fur, this is detachable as well. So at least you're kind of being able to mix and match with how you actually style that coat.
That polo.
Isn't it stunning?
Beautiful.
Yeah, I love it, and I love the colour. It's the corn powder blue colour. Again, like that, a beautiful knit. It's light, so therefore it's comfortable to wear, not overheating, but yet warm at the same time.
And the colour clashing is so Victoria Beckham. She does these colours all the time.
Isn't it cool?
Gorgeous.
Yeah, and I'm loving it. I'm loving the leather trousers. They're absolutely beautiful. And again, like that, they're a flare look.
It's a leatherette, isn't it?
It's a leatherette indeed, and it has elastic waist and band on it as well. But I love that look, and it's the colouring clashes.
They were
Great.
gorgeous colour
Yeah,
clashes
that
there
needs
with
you a
Jen.
lot.
Is this another
Fabulous.
snood?
This is another snood. Here we go. Dermot said, Dermot told me she looked like a Viking earlier on.
She looks like Peg Sayers.
I knew she was going to get a Peg Sayers.
Do you realise that I have to listen to her the whole way home to Galway, and she's going to be going on and giving me an earful the
you
whole
made
way
me come
home.
out looking like Peg Sayers.
It's very cold off the Blasket Islands,
Oh
girl.
my God, please do not listen to these people. So we're going on the snood.
You look fabulous,
You
Dermot.
said it earlier, it's bang on trend, and it is bang on trend, but I love it. But this coat, I adore a good coat.
Coat's lovely, yeah.
It's fabulous. And it's a beautiful shade as well. And of course, like that as well, is because it's a very in shade, it'll go with so much more pieces,
Oh,
and that's what
lovely.
it's all about.
We'll see if we take the snood off, we'll see the lovely top.
And you see a gorgeous little, it's a kind of like, it's actually two tops. Oh, I'm loving this. Oh,
that on
thank you. So it's a lovely little sleeveless top, and we put another little top about the layering just underneath it as well. But it's nice, isn't it? It's a great look.
It is beautiful.
Oh, seriously?
The jeans are beautiful. Leave it there.
The way you look.
It is absolutely perfect on you. Went with these jeans. I do want to tell you a story about these jeans. So the cropped ankle is going to be absolutely huge for 2025. Get used to it. This is going to be the look. And we finished it off with a real European look with these great brogues, adding the chunkier shoe, whether it's chunky boot or the brogue indeed. All from Aria Boutique in Nice.
You look gorgeous, Dermot.
Oh, the
It's
Peg Sayers,
fantastic.
I'm loving it. She's
And now-
never
From
going to
one
give me...
peg to the next, from one peg to another.
It's not, you look like Robin Hood. You look like an old school Robin Hood.
That's exactly what it looks like.
These are very itchy.
Thank you,
Auntie Maher, thanks very much.
No, and that is not itchy. It's really good on. And it works well, I'm telling you one thing. And we'll get you into the beanie, though, I think. We'll
Thank you so much, Mandy.
much.
Now, I'm actually
Thank
legging
you.
it now because I'm getting a sneak preview of Video Nasty. That's going to be airing on Virgin Media Television and Play on the 20th of January. So I'm going to be leaving the rest of the show in yourself and Tommy's capable hands.
We'll be lost.
I know,
without you.
what'll you do?
We'll see you after the break. Now, the weather may be Baltic outside, but we've the perfect vegan cure for you this morning.
I have been waiting for this all morning.
He really has.
Moroccan spiced lentil and chickpea soup with the wonderful Paul Knapp. Good morning to you, Paul.
Good morning, guys. How are you getting on?
Listen, thanks God for the bread. How are we getting on?
Just going on the bread. Best thing to do is, so you're going to enjoy it, is just keep you starving and then you'll eat anything.
You're very good. So this is a perfect winter warmer, exactly what we needed this sort of weather.
It's healthy, it's hearty, it's full of flavour, it's packed full of fibre, it's packed full of protein, loads of veggies in there as well, and it packs a nice little punch as well.
Okay.
So on the day that it is, because it's cold out there, it's frosty out there, it was foggy out there coming in this morning, and it was, it's cold and cold and cold and cold. So all we're going to do is all of the ingredients. So what we're doing is we're doing a Moroccan kind of spiced lentil and chickpea soup, okay? So what makes it Moroccan is this, which is the harissa, which is kind of a roasted pepper and kind of chili paste. So that just gives it a lovely little kick, a little bit of aniseedy kind of a flavour in there with some kind of citrusy undertones and stuff like that, all right? So all of the ingredients and the recipe is up on IrelandAM's Facebook page as well as the Virgin Media website.
So you're kind of sweating down the onions, first of all.
What we're going to... Our onions...
Celery and carrots.
So that's
and it's called a...
well, it depends. If you're Italian, it's a soffretto, which is basically the same as French is a mirepoix, and what we would call just our kind of our root veggies and stuff. Do you know what I mean? But we've got like kind of probably the worst name for it, which is root veggies. You like that mirepoix or soffretto and stuff like that. It sounds a lot nicer. So all we do is in real time, you cook off your onions and you sweat them down, OK? So you want to be cooking them for about 10 minutes. The bread's just disappearing.
Sorry, we're digging into the... It's
just getting it ready for the soup. Getting it ready for the soup.
Absolutely, a bit of soakage. So all we do is we cook these onions down in real time. So on a medium to high heat, we start to cook them. We don't want to fry them off. We just want to sweat them down so they just reduce down. They get nice and soft. And once they start getting soft, we can crank up the heat ever so slightly, just so they start to brown. But we want them, as I say, you really want a good 10 minutes of cooking these because it draws out all the flavour and stuff like that.
Onion, would you not put the carrots and the celery in then too?
We will, but not just yet, because what we're going to do is get the most of those flavours out of the onion, and then we're going to add in these. These are we're going to sweat those off as well in a minute, but also as well we're going to cook that out as a kind of like as a soup, and all the flavours are going to kind of all meet together and stuff like that. All right,
very good.
So into that goes, I say, one large onion which has just been chopped, and again because it's going to be kind of rustic style, we can just chuck it in kind of big. You don't have to be like all finely fancy and stuff like that. Then we're going to put in there a celery. So there's 2 sticks of celery that has gone into there, chopped nice and small. And then also as well is I'm putting in 2 decent-sized carrots goes in there as well, OK? Just peeled them, washed them, and then chuck them in there as well. And again, in real time, what we would be doing is we'll be cooking this for, again, another 2 or 3 minutes. So all of those flavours start to meet and all they start to mingle and they start to mix. Okay?
And we're like, the smell on that's beautiful.
I think that's one of the things I always love about cooking is that you've got like a food memory from growing up as a kid or whatever it be. So if you walked home and you walked in, you'd smell your mum's stew, or like you say, you were making the stew yesterday. So when you walk in, so if someone walks into the house, the first one they get is a bang of probably one of your favourite foods.
Did you put celery and stuff in it?
No, I don't like the celery in it.
Oh, here we go. Now you tell me. Well, just pick it out.
I don't think you can taste the celery in it.
You can't. Well, like if it's big and if it's a big bit in a stew, you can pick it out and leave it to the side. But this is kind of small, so if you dice it up nice and small, you can give the kids, they won't notice it as well. They're not going to go around and start picking things out. So we start to cook that down. Again, that would be another 2 or 3 minutes. We can add in there 2 or 3 cloves of garlic, goes in there as well. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add into that our spices.
Right.
So because this is Middle Eastern, what we've got in there, or what we've got is kind of like Moroccan, we've got cinnamon. So I've got half a teaspoon of cinnamon and I've got half a teaspoon of turmeric goes into there. I've got a teaspoon of cumin seed goes in there as well. And then I've got a nice teaspoon, 1 to 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika. I'd go through smoked paprika quite a lot. So, you know, those little jars you can buy there, like about £3. I go to the wholesalers and buy the big ones, or go to some of the Middle Eastern stores and you'll buy like a kilo for about 7 or 8 quid.
Well, I mean, with cumin, with smoked paprika, turmeric, garam masala, they're all the ones that are always in curries and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd go through quite a lot, especially with cinnamon and smoked paprika.
This time of year, you kind of want those kind of... You know, those sort of dishes.
And what cinnamon does, it gives it a lovely sweetness. You can also smell there's a sweetness coming out of this at the moment. Then we put into this our harissa paste. So again, there's probably 1 to 2 tablespoons of harissa. Now, there's a slight kick off of it. It isn't a big kick. It's not like a chili. You know that chili where it kind of grabs you by the throat. There's just a nice little tingle on this. Like, you know
Would that be the same? If you didn't have that, could you put in like a tomato puree type
You could put in some tomato puree, some sriracha, maybe a little bit of Tabasco or something like that with tomato puree. So you still get them tomatoey, or again, because it's a roasted pepper base. So yeah, you can put in like a sriracha or gochujang or something like that. So we're going to cook that for a couple more minutes, and then we're ready to add into this our lentils, 200 grams of red lentils. And what we're also putting in there as well is either about 5 or 6 decent-sized tomatoes, fresh chopped. If you can't get them, or you just want, if you've got tinned tomatoes at home, just a tin of tomatoes goes in there like so.
And you've no problem with a tin of tomatoes?
Absolutely no.
Chopped tomatoes, isn't it?
You can either put in 5 or 6 chopped tomatoes, like good fresh tomatoes,
or a tin.
Or a tin of tomatoes. It's entirely up to yourself, whatever you have, OK? And all we do is then we put a litre of stock goes into this like so.
All right.
All right. And then what we're going to do is...
What kind of stock?
Just veggie stock. I'll put a veggie stock in for this, yep. So all we do then is we bring this to the boil, And what we would do is we would cover it and let it simmer for 10 minutes, okay? Then take the lid off and let it just simmer again for another 10 minutes. So that takes 20 minutes, start to finish.
Why would the
just
lid
we want to keep the moisture in first of all, and then we just want to just let the lid off so everyone can smell it and just be fancy and stuff like that. You can leave the lid off and cook for 20 minutes, all right?
So it doesn't boil down, obviously, whenever you have the lid
because
on.
it's with the lid on it won't, because you're getting a lot of this condensation is dropping back in again. And then all we're going to do is, when it's cooked and the lentils are cooked, we chuck into that to finish it off. We put in there a tin of chickpeas, okay? So that's, again, more sort of like the Moroccan influence in that.
At what stage now? How many minutes left do you put at the
Right at the very, very end. Right
a minute or two?
Just, right at the very end.
Okay.
Just chuck them in. And then what you're going to get is this. And then just to finish, here we go, he's off. And just to finish this off, what you do is get you a nice big bunch of fresh coriander, and you literally just chuck that in, very, very last thing. And that just brings up that flavour, really, really a kind of a light, lovely flavour. So we just chucked it in.
If you didn't have that, that's okay as well.
Absolutely,
is it?
yeah. A lot of it is okay. Like, at the end of the day, if you have it, use it. If you don't, then there's no hassle.
Like, if you're trying to make that now tonight,
and you've got no coriander.
Stop asking questions here now. We're getting ready to get
just feed the man.
Feed me.
9:54, ready to be fed. What's going on?
So all we do then is we take this and a nice bowl of this. As I say, there's a nice little gentle kick. There's a nice freshness coming from the coriander like that. I'll give you so much. And I put a couple of just little pieces just to decorate it on the top of that with some fresh coriander. And if you want, then it's just a little drizzle of tahini goes on the top of that like that. Give it a lovely little nutty little taste. Serve that with some fresh bread.
Oh, there you go.
We're trying the tahini with it.
Tahini. What's tahini again?
Tahini is sesame seed paste. So it's like a tomato. It's like a like a peanut butter, but a sesame seed version of a peanut butter used in hummus and stuff like that. So they're very familiar with each other, the chickpea and the hummus and the tahini.
Oh, the Moroccan flavour in that now.
You get a nice little bit of heat from there.
Oh, sorry. No, were you taking a picture there for you?
Delicious.
Oh, there's a lovely kick off that.
Love a good soup.
Yeah.
It's not a big kick. It's just a nice little gentle. It's warming.
Thank you so much.
All the best, guys.
Coming up tomorrow, renowned behavioural scientist Paul McKenna is giving us a masterclass in manifestation.
We're going to be finding out if Angelina Jolie's operatic comeback could bag her an Oscar. There you have it. And Deric's getting fighting fit with some kickboxing classes.
Oh, of course he is. We'll have the latest news, sport and weather you're waking up to, and we give you the latest on the weather, of course, tomorrow, if see how you are in your area.
Perfect for the warm weather.
Have a great day.
Cold weather. Paul now.
Take care in that weather. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.